Hey YouTube, it's me Hunter, and today we're going to be talking about whether or not the law of biogenesis breaks down our understanding about Earth's history, specifically early Earth's history about how life first started. If you don't know, the law of biogenesis essentially states life comes from other living organisms and cannot be generated from non-living matter. Now, people who are skeptical of the geological history of Earth might say,
if most scientists state that life arose from the primordial soup in the hydrothermic vents of the shallow oceans around 4 billion years ago, doesn't that contradict the law of biogenesis?
no. And if you want to know why, I first have to give you a little bit of human history. So just join me. In a faraway land, a long time ago, there was a magical place called ancient Greece. And in ancient Greece, around 322 and 384 BCE, there used to be a man called Aristotle. Most know him for his work on philosophy, but if you didn't know, he wrote about a lot of things. And amongst those things that he wrote, he articulated the idea of spontaneous generations. This idea postulated that living organisms can spontaneously appear from non-living matter. For example, maggots coming from raw meat, or frogs coming from muddy banks along rivers in Egypt that weren't previously there. But Aristotle's evidence that he stated was the sudden appearance of fish from new-made ponds. We now would consider this idea to be stupid, but can you really blame them? They didn't really have Google, so they might as well just be cavemen. But despite this idea being stupid to us, this still persisted roughly another 2,000 years. How? But then, in the year 1668, there was a man named Francesco Redi. He doesn't know it yet, but he conducted the first recorded experiment that sparked the potential idea of the law of biogenesis. The experiment consisted of 6 jars. 2 of them were open containers, 2 were cork sealed, and the other 2 were gauze covered. Then meat were placed in all 6 jars and sat there. He predicted that if the flies could not interact with the meat, they could not lay the eggs, then yielding no maggots. But if the idea of spontaneous generations were true, then we would expect that the maggots would grow no matter what. And guess what? His predictions did come true. The meat that were cut off axis from the flies did not have any maggots, but critics said,
well, if you're cutting off the oxygen supply to the maggots, then maybe they can't grow at all.
And so the battle begins for another 200 years. How was this a legit debate? Hold on, they didn't have Google, they were just cavemen, just calm down. Okay, let me just show you the final experiment that laid this whole case to rest in 1858. I'm not gonna flashbang you again. There was a French chemist named Louis Pasteur, and he decided to take up on this challenge. He wanted this to be the final nail in the coffin, so he used microorganisms, specifically airborne microorganisms, from broth. He designed a flask with a long tube stemming from the top of it. The tube was designed in a way to prevent outside air from entering in, but still open and exposed so it wasn't completely isolated from the rest of the world. After he put the broth inside of the flask, sterilized it to kill already existing bacteria inside the broth, and then let it sit there. And then what happened was, no organisms grew out. Then he repeated the experiment with the tube on top of the flask being broken off, and guess what? Bacteria grew. The battle was finally over. He was given the Allenberg Prize from the Paris Academy of Science in 1862. And the law of biogenesis was properly articulated as a real law. Why did it take 2,000 years for this idea to even be challenged after Aristotle? I don't know. Why did this take another 200 years for the battle to finally end? I also don't know, but none of that matters. What really matters is whether or not the law of biogenesis contradict the idea of life coming from non-life in the primordial soup 4 billion years ago. The law of biogenesis is a descriptive law about our observations on Earth today, not a prescriptive law about how life works in all conditions ever. And we would know this as long as we understand the historical context behind these scientific laws. Yep, that's it. Thank you. Goodbye. please like and subscribe and comment. Thanks.